Thank you, Bharati. Thank you. Karana?
Coming.
Thank you, Karana. Where are you? That Karana? No. Where's Karana?
There's Karana.
Oh, there's Karana. I just thanked you. You're welcome. Is Krishna Devi here? Oh, the sound is here. Krishna, are you here? I have to offer apologies to Krishna Devi. If ever I needed proof that our Guru is still with us, it was during the thank yous or the healing prayers this evening, not the thank yous. I received word from Krishna Devi earlier today by email that she wouldn't be able to do the chanting of our final concluding prayer because she had a cough and a cold, but she was hoping to come for part of the program. I emailed back thanking her, telling her how sorry I was to hear that she wasn't well. And then I said, would you like your name included in the healing prayer, or would you like it said in silence? And she wrote immediately back, oh, please, have it only in silence. I did not intend to speak her name. I was including her in my silent prayers. It reminded me of the many times so many of us here have experienced that whenever we gave Guruji a check, a donation for the ashram, we said, Guruji, we really like that you shouldn't announce either the name, especially the amount. You say, oh no, I understand, I know your heart, I will not do. That evening, first thing I want to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, wonderful contribution from Joan Suval, or Marvin Suval, or Karana Devi, or Bharati. And not only that, he told the exact amount. If you wrote him a letter and said at the end, please, Guruji, this is a personal matter just between you and me. He said, no, very delicate, I will not tell. And then that same evening at program, I received one letter from married lady, very nice lady, been involved with teaching. She has a son, he is now going to this university, and husband is very active with the organization, and they live in Riverdale. And she had one problem that she did not want me to announce, comes from her, and he would go on like that, and by that time the whole room was looking at you. So he just... And I know that those of you who met him remembered his mischievous nature, his wonderful sense of humor, and the fact that nobody was safe if they told him anything personal. It immediately went out on the cosmic airwaves somehow. So I was going to apologize to Krishna Devi and to tell her that it was all her guru's fault. We're short of time. There's so much I would like to share with you. All Guruji's disciples sitting here are flooded with memories today of those special moments. But the good news for people who never met him is this letter that he wrote in 1985, giving you assurance that he has never left, that he's still available. You just don't have to make an appointment to see him. He's available eternally to you. And this is from his own lips. In 1985, 2 years after a massive stroke, which didn't diminish his power one bit, or his humor, or his general cheerfulness, he was the same after a massive stroke as he was before. The body had changed. The ability to speak had changed. But this is the letter that he wrote. November 1985. Dear friends, love and greetings. I was, I am, and I shall continue working with you all, whether I'm present or absent, whether I'm in this country or abroad, whether I'm here or there. Until now, I was working with you through my body and mind. But now, I am empowered by my Guru, Sri Bhagavandas, to work with all friends directly, without my body and mind. Because I realize that to work through the body and mind is a very deceptive operation. That made me laugh too, but I decided that's too good to just skim over. What does he mean? He says, now I'm empowered by my Guru to work with all friends directly, without my body and mind, because I realize that to work through the body and mind is a very deceptive operation. I would love to hear from you what you think. Anybody can say, because there are so many levels of meaning to that one statement, right? Working through the body and mind is a very deceptive operation. He would say, very deceptive business. What passed through your mind that caused you to laugh or at least smile? It is a deceptive business. Who said that? Like a puppet? My friend? Like a puppet. And that's deceptive. You think it you, but you're conditioned to behave a certain way. That's what you're saying. Yes, you're being moved like, good to see you again. I love your answers. She says, we're like a puppet. And he says, even for the Guru to work through the body, that's what we have to look at. For the Guru to work through his body and mind is a deceptive, it's deceiving people. That's what it is. Bring it very near to the meaning. It's deceiving people. And now that he's working without his body and mind, there's no deception involved. It's direct contact with that frequency. Your frequency meeting with that frequency. So, with these one sentence, these few sentences, we could be the next 2 hours going into each word, because they never used a word without total understanding of that word. It's a deceptive business. Now you, he's saying, anyone, raise your hand if you did not meet him physically, in the physical sense. Oh, you're the lucky ones. You're the lucky ones because you were not deceived by that. He looked like a normal person. He was very handsome, very approachable, very warm, very affectionate, very sweet, as you will hear in a moment when I tell a story about him. But there were moments of pure magic when your life suddenly was transformed, and you looked at him and he showed no sign of having known anything or done anything, but you knew who was behind that incredible change, because he opened this ashram. He worked with each one of us, whether he was here or overseas. He was constantly working with us to do what? What did he want to do most of all? Give us knowledge? No. We've had the knowledge lifetime after lifetime. He exhausted himself giving us knowledge. But he was waiting for transformation, and that could only happen if... What? What was he after? He didn't care what form his battle took. Sometimes it was just to stroke you, encourage you. Don't worry, in the end you will be triumphant, everything's going to be fine. And sometimes he just knocked us about, either paying no attention to us, or sometimes, I wouldn't say humiliating us, but kind of kind of pricking our bubble of what? That's the word I'm looking for. He was after, what is Krishna after? Krishna means to crush. To crush what? The ego. That's all the Guru wanted. He was after the ego. If he felt you were not so sensitive, a little tougher, he knew you from other lifetimes, that's when you'd get the hardest treatment. That's when you'd really feel he can't love you if he's treating you this way, ignoring you or kind of making fun of you in the public. He would do occasion, little gentle. But in the beginning years, when you weren't accustomed to it, it felt as though he didn't care anymore about you. Actually, it was just the opposite. He cared too much. He was after you with all his energy, all his attention, using any method that would work. I didn't invent this statement. This is his statement. I will enlighten you, Mercedes, by hook or by crook. He didn't say it to Mercedes. He never met Mercedes. But he was talking to us. I will see to your enlightenment by hook or by crook. We didn't mind the hook, but crook? What did he mean by that? He meant anything it took. Anything it took. And those who were less than hardy, they ran away. They felt that this was a bogus guru. Because first he did hook you. He definitely hooked us by charm, by love, by compassion, by attention. And then when we were feeling really expanded, really loved, prick with the needle, and the balloon would break, and we'd see him turning his attention to someone else, or building someone else up, at the same time pulling us, we thought down. No, we were just in graduate school. We wanted to be back in elementary school, where we understood everything. And the teachers were very gentle and nice to us. Graduate school, not so nice. Graduate school, they're in a hurry. This is the last time they can get to you. So those who are finding this journey, and this is, I guess, his message, I didn't intend to say this, but those of us, including myself, who are finding this journey much more arduous, much more challenging, much more of a battlefield than we expected, consider yourself blessed. He loves you. He wants you. This is his way. You're running after him, and he's running after you with a big stick. He carried a stick all the time. He never used it on us, but there was always the possibility, if we didn't awaken in time, to show you that you have to remain very, very alert. The next paragraph says this. This is the most happy news I'm telling. But for that, you also have to be very alert and extremely attentive to listen to me, because he's working without his body. You have to be alert because there's every possibility of misunderstanding me and my message. Therefore, you also must go beyond your linguistic mind. You can't be the victim of rationalizing or analyzing. We've got to go beyond that. And always, always awake to his most recent message. Look at everything as a personalized message for you. Nowadays, you can send an e-card, personalized. Well, consider some of these kind of mind-boggling epiphanies as your e-card from Guruji. It's a celebration of your spiritual birth every minute. What happened to me was the following. most of you know, because I know most of you here, that there's a website called, not a website, there's a Facebook page. I get them mixed up. I'm still not clear what they do. But there's a Facebook page you can have, and we have one called Readings from the Masters, and the Ashram has a Facebook page, Ananda Ashram. Well, Readings from the Masters is just a page that I was encouraged to, what's the language, Yogananda? Encouraged to create? Thank you. Create, I'm learning the language, so that we could post the quotes of great masters on there, and that we keep people in touch with what's going on, and also introduce these teachings and these masters to people who live in rural communities, have no access to these programs such as these. So I've started choosing very good quotes of the masters and putting them on. And I began to feel very happy because people who knew nothing about the ashram or the teachings of the Guru began to check like. They liked it. And I saw 10, 20, sometimes 30 people liked it. Once in a while I'd put on quote, not so many liked it. But I put on a quote that I really liked this week of Sri Brahmananda's. I can't quote it directly, but it was something about desire. It said that there is always desire. Mind always has desire. But every desire comes with both gain and loss. If you analyze whether this desire that you're having is bringing you more loss than gain, then you have to root it out of your mind completely. I thought that was wonderful. Not many people agreed with me. They didn't check like. It sounded too negative. It sounded too, I don't know what it sounded, but I couldn't understand why I liked it so much and nobody else seemed to like it. 7 people like that. And I said, why is that? For 2 days I pondered that. And then it occurred to me, that was a message for me. That's why I liked it. I said, that's good. If anything you're desiring brings you more loss than gain, you should get rid of it. Gee, that's wise. Where's Carolyn? Carolyn, isn't that wise? Yeah, that's good. It's wise. But how is it I liked it so much and the others didn't? In my meditation this morning, a desire of mine, as they are wont to do, crept in. It's a nice desire, nothing wrong with it. Wasn't something destructive. But I looked at that and I suddenly saw that if I get that desire, I will be losing more than I'm gaining. Hello, Guruji. That's why I was drawn to that statement of his. Those who weren't drawn to it have no need of it. It's those who have a need of it that will find themselves sparked by it. The ones that seem to supply the greatest need, the quotes, are the ones that are very optimistic. They tell you, don't worry, it seems like you're not making progress. I guarantee you're making progress. 30 people like that. That's very good. That sounds like they don't have to do any work, and they're very happy with that. So everything we suddenly see through meditation, through a reading, through a story, that hits some area of our life that needs light, that's been in darkness because we've been rationalizing. Guruji said one of our greatest enemies is the art of rationalizing. We find reasons why this is what has to be done. This is what Guruji would want. This is what society wants. But is it something that will bring you more gain than loss? Will it bring you the loss of your peace of mind? Will it bring you the loss of your new understanding about attachments, your new wisdom? Will it bring the loss of your intelligence? Because any attachment causes us, Bhagavad Gita I'm quoting, any attachment of on any level, mental, sensual, any attachment causes the loss of our wisdom when we're being overthrown by the senses. So we have to be constantly alert. And what Guruji says, he says, if you're not alert, you'll miss the meaning of my message. You'll twist it, which is what we often, I was doing it. I was asking the very stupid question, what's wrong with those people that they don't understand Guruji's wonderful message the way I understand it? But where was the application? I understood it how? Intellectually, rationally, mentally. We all do that. We play games. You're all looking at me very wisely, like this. It's true, but we have to be alert, not to just what we think is someone else's message, but to all messages, to see if it applies to us. It's not easy. The group this afternoon, every time I said one of Guruji's statements, giving instructions, somebody in the group said, but it's so hard, Joan. Every 10 minutes, it's hard, Joan. Of course it's hard, but you need to develop the knack of paying attention to everything that happens as being a message for you. How many of you get that? Raise your hand. I see some hands down. All right. Raise your hands high. How many of you get that? Okay, now this is for your ego. How many do not get that? How many are in such a state of meditation they can't raise their arm? All right. I wanted to give you a little taste of what Guruji was mentioning in that letter. He's saying that even though he may not be here in his body, even though many of you have not met him this lifetime, if you're here, he would tell you you're his old students, his ancient students, but you forgot. You're being reacquainted with a great guru, because we've had many gurus, different forms, but it's always that inner guru, the Sadguru, taking different forms to push us back to it, inside the heart center. So a reminder to us, if any of you is sitting there feeling so sorry I missed him, you didn't miss him. We don't even miss him now. He's so present, right? I'm looking at someone who knows him well. He's so present that it's hard to even commemorate his Mahasamadhi, because that means he left his body. He left his body, but not to go away. We leave our body every time we meditate deeply. We come out of our body. Nobody cries when they see that. I sometimes say things that are a little humorous. You could smile. You know. You could encourage me a little bit. Well, I was going to bring a reading, but then I said, what did Sri Brahmananda do on the occasion of his teacher's birthday? He told stories. He told stories of his guru, his times with his guru, his magical times with his guru, so that we would again have a taste of that magic, of that fragrance. For those who do not have the book Pulsation of Godhood, it's in the gift shop, and those are transcribed talks that Guruji gave on the occasion of his teacher's birthday, telling stories, unedited, personal stories. Wonderful book. It's beside my meditation chair that I can always reach for it. Here's a story that brings you a little sense of his immense kindness, his ability to empathize and connect with people's pain and to do something about it, no matter how much it cost him in energy. This happened in Hawaii. It was 2 years after he wrote that letter in 1985, and a long-term beloved member, Rita Dumbrov, who left her body at 104, she was in very good condition, invited Guruji to Hawaii. It was the first time he was being invited to offer programs again. His speech hadn't come back so that it was clear. So Rita invited me to accompany him and take care of his needs, everything related to program and to his health, and to serve as the translator for him, because she was inviting very special friends of hers, many of whom were celebrities in Hawaii, and she wanted the program to be very fulfilling for them. So while we were there, one of Rita's friends told Guruji, Sri Brahmananda, about an extraordinary acupuncturist, a Chinese acupuncturist who was probably in his early 60s then, didn't speak a word of English, but he was known throughout the islands as being a miracle worker. And she said, "I think he could bring your speech back." And Guruji said, "No, he can't." Guruji was a neurosurgeon himself. She said, no, you can't think like that. You have to think positively," she said to the Guru. And the Guru, our Guru, could see the future. And all he could see was that he wasn't speaking again. That's why he said, no, he can't. He can do other things, but he can't do that. And she said, well, you have to give him a try. He said he thinks he can. So Guruji became very quiet. He said, "I will come. We will see." Guruji went for several painful treatments. This acupuncturist worked through the head, mainly, very painful. Big needles. He knew exactly what he was doing. Other things were cured in Guruji, but not his ability to speak, because those were brain cells that had been destroyed by the stroke. Guruji could speak so that we could understand, and what he needed to speak, he could speak. The main salient points of these teachings. But one day, finally, the acupuncturist bowed and he said, he's in his own language, Chinese, he said, "I'm so sorry. I couldn't." There was an interpreter there. But, he said through the interpreter, he has a request to make of Dr. Mishra, he called him. And Dr. Mishra said, "Yes," as if he knew. He said, "Yes." And through the interpreter, we learned that the acupuncturist's son, I guess it was about 10 years earlier, had been murdered. And the two men who had murdered him had wanted to rob him of money they thought he had. And since that time, which was, we gathered it was about 10 years ago, the acupuncturist had not been able to sleep. He seemed to be in a terrible, frenetic, anxiety-ridden state, is what the interpreter said. And Guruji was listening like this, just taking it in. And at the end, the acupuncturist looked up and he just had a tragic face. All the lines were down. We had never seen him smile. And looking, of course, tired, hadn't been able to sleep for years. And he asked it, would Dr. Mishra be able to help? And Guruji said, I will see. I will see. So he said, I will come back tomorrow. I want to bring certain materials, incense and certain preparations for a little fire ceremony. Next day, he got up very early, and I could hear him moving about. It was earlier than most mornings. He was about 5 o'clock. And I dressed and asked if I could help. He said, yes, you bring this, you bring that. There's a lot of things he was bringing. And I said, Guruji, maybe we should bring your tape recorder so we could play those chants that you did, I'm meaning before his stroke. And Guruji said, very nice, very fine idea. Did you try recorder? First, you must try the tape to make sure. I said, yes, I will try it now. And I went in, played beautifully. It was one of those sharp recorders, and he loved it because it was really sharp. It was a wonderful, inexpensive but powerful little recorder, not in business anymore. Telling you this for a reason, of course. We go to the place, and Guruji prepares the fire ceremony, and it was Rita, Rosalie, her friend, myself, the interpreter, and the Chinese acupuncturist. And we were sitting in a circle, taking part in the ceremony. And then Guruji had everyone but the acupuncturist stand up, and he had a circle walking around him 7 times. And the acupuncturist was in deep meditation after Guruji's chanting. And then Guruji snapped his fingers like that, and he motioned to the recording instrument, the player. And I jumped up and I pushed the button. Guruji says, push stop. And he was furious. I said, what happened? We played beautifully. And I said, should I rewind? No, it will not work. Ghost. Ghost? What? So he said, we have to stop now because I have to go home now. He said, not go home. He said, I have to return back and I will take care of this problem. You will sleep tonight. I now know what is difficulty. So we get up to go, and the Chinese acupuncturist runs. He said, no, wait. Comes in, and he hands us red envelopes, each one of us, and inside was a $100 bill, which we promptly gave to Guruji. We didn't want it, because we didn't know what had happened there. The acupuncturist looked very startled, because the interpreter told him what he said. It was a ghost that had gotten into the machine. So we go home and go back to the place. And Guruji would not eat that night. Wouldn't eat anything the whole day. Just stayed in his room. Quiet. Didn't hear a sound from him. At night I knocked at the door. Do you want? Said, no answer. Nothing. He was some other state. During the night, I kept checking. There was a light on. It was a very small light coming through under the door. And I heard him pacing back and forth, whole night. in the morning, I knocked on the door and asked if he wanted his usual juice, orange juice. And he opened the door, and I don't know how to describe it, but you know those bouffant hairstyles that they had in the old days, in the 50s, I think? His hair was up about 3-4 inches in the air. He had long hair, and it was up. The electricity was keeping it up. And I stared at him because he was always meticulous, always shining. And his jacket was, he hadn't taken his clothes off from the day before. Jacket was all rumpled. And I said, "Are you all right?" And he said, "It was a gang of ghosts." And he smiled. He said, "They are gone now." I said, "What happened?" He said, "All night fighting with ghosts." I said, "Why? What was the matter?" He said, "They were angry. These 2 men are in prison. They are angry that they could not find the money, that the boy had deceived them, had told them he had the money, but he had given it to the acupuncturist, his father. So there was a battle going on in the airwaves, apparently." Of course, I didn't ask him how he got rid of the ghosts. I was just glad they were gone. And I said, "Are we going back to the acupuncturist?" He said, "Yes, we will go back. He will be very happy." He's already happy. He slept very well last night. So we go back, and the acupuncturist was, he was all over us. He was bringing fruit and candy and more money. He didn't know what to do. And Guruji said, no, not necessary. Come inside, I will talk to you." And he went inside a little room. It must have been a treatment room, but low lights were there. It looked different, maybe his prayer room, I don't know. And we could hear Guruji speaking. And he told him that this was about the money, that there was a whole storm going on between the men who had murdered the boy, and they were not letting this boy rest. The soul was not resting. The soul was not free because of the tension that was there. These men had known him before. They had been friends of some kind. He said, "I have done my work. This is over with. Those men cannot bother you anymore or your son. I've lifted you up. They're too low now to reach you. But," he said, "I want you to be able to give your son some peace. He is not at peace because he lost everything. That money was to go for his schooling. He was going to go to medical school, and now his soul is not happy. It doesn't know why, it's just not happy. What you must do," he said to the man, "is go to China and open a school in his name with that money, so that other poor students will benefit, and you will have scholarship. You set it up so that young men and young women who are in your son's state of poverty that he was in can have the advantages." He said, "Then he will be happy. Also," he said, "for your sake, you set up a little altar and you put up his picture and a candle, 1 candle, and talk to him. You will reach him. Love can reach anywhere," he told him. "You talk to him. He needs to feel you're ready to let him go. And you will sleep very well." Guruji patted him on the head as if he were a child. I still see him. He looked like a round-faced Buddha, a lovely, lovely, sweet man. And Guruji went home went back. I keep calling it home. Wherever we slept was home. Guruji went back and slept the whole day. It had taken such a toll from his body. But how sweet to fight with a gang of ghosts all night long. I can't imagine. That must have been vibrating throughout the whole universe, that battle. And how they do that, I don't know. But he did it because that acupuncturist looked as though he had dropped 20 years. And that smile that was on his face it's still with me, lit up the whole room, like I told yours does, Indra Devi. There are some people, their joy is infectious, and when they smile, even if you're in the worst mood, you feel better instantly. They have that power over you. Well, it shows you. I was going to read one of Guruji's meditations for our final meditation tonight, but instead, I think I'll open the floor to any questions you might have about that story or about things that we witnessed ourselves. Guruji did not flaunt his powers. There are gurus who attract followers and disciples by demonstrating their powers of alchemy, their siddhis. But Guruji didn't do that. Guruji would create incidents that would restore our confidence in him as an extraordinary being. Sometimes when he used certain methods to teach us, we felt that we didn't understand them. We just objected to them. And then he'd have to do something to make sure we didn't run away. Because there were many of us with whom he had worked many incarnations, and we hadn't applied all that we had heard. The application was still missing. So he was working overtime, doing anything he could to wake us up, with wonderful acts of miracles, magic happening, but more often with, bad events happening, so that we couldn't continue leading a superficial life. We had to go in. It's when our lives are challenging, when there are confrontations going on that pull us out of our peace of mind, that we insist on going back to where we can get some comfort. So it's the negativity that pushes us back into our pure beingness, our pure state of heart. And then from that state of peace, we're able to see clearly the mistakes we're making and to realize if we've chosen this one as a guru, then we just have to trust him. Once we choose, once we say, this is the one, I love what he has to say, he doesn't care whether I follow him or another guru, doesn't matter. He just wants us to be on the path of light, the path of the sun, not the path of the moon that wanes. Wants us on the path of the sun, he always said. Once you choose, then got to take those knocks. It's like, I don't know where I get these examples from. I don't know where this is coming from. I don't even like the sport of boxing. I dislike it. But this example is from boxing, which I never watch. But I saw in a film that even a good tennis player chooses the very best person to beat him while he trains. Is that right? The sparring partners, I want the boxing aficionados. The sparring partners, Sridhar, you know anything about boxing? Do they choose the best boxer? Do they want that boxer to knock them down and hit them? Yes. I heard that. Do they get angry when the other one knocks him? Not at all. He shouldn't kill him, but he should give him a good fight. Well, in the same way, we don't want a guru, and we don't want a life that always agrees with us. We don't want such a sweet life, such a challenge-less life, that we remain asleep and then we have to endure another lifetime just like this one next time. We want a guru who will wake us up, and he will use any opportunity, any situation to crush the ego, because without the ego, we are omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipotent. I think the program just ended. So let's just close our eyes, because we have a full program. Kamala Kant's coming with a wonderful Surata, and Kamala Kant coming with a wonderful slideshow, and then our Chakaji and his dance performance. Please take a very deep breath, breathe in deeply, and exhale, letting all the language, all the memories go. Allow your body to take over its own breathing, while you, the witness that needs no breathing, watches its body breathe. Don't care about anything now. You don't need to understand any of the stories, any of the words. You just need to feel this feeling of being utterly at peace with yourself. Allowing life to happen as it has to happen. Knowing you can enjoy the suchness of all the ups and downs until they're no longer ups and downs, but just what is. Karuna, would you lead us in our traditional prayer? Oh.